Welcome to Astro Weatherman. Welcome to another edition of Astro Weatherman. Thank you all for joining me today. All right, so today we're going to be studying the North American weather for the full moon of March 2023. And this full moon is going to go from, or this lunar week, this full moon lunar week, is going to go or begin from starting from Tuesday, March the 7th, and it'll go until Monday, March the 13th. Okay, so during this week, we're going to see which planets are going to be influencing the weather around North America. So, in our efforts to try and find a way to bring this information to you in the most efficient, practical, and useful way possible, we're going to be trying today is we're going to be just focusing on the major planets, okay, influencing the weather. We'll touch on some of the minor ones. Now, in astrology, what makes up a major planet versus a minor planet? All right. Basically, it's speed. All right. In a nutshell, without getting too deep into it, we'll get deeper into it in future videos. But basically, the faster a planet moves in its orbit around the sun, the less powerful of an influence it has, generally speaking. What we call the faster planets, they're wonderful points to study for triggers when we're trying to forecast things. And we'll talk about that in future videos. But basically, the further out you go into the solar system, it takes a lot longer for the planets to revolve around the sun, to orbit the sun. And so because they are, in essence, slower moving, in other words, it takes them a lot longer to make one revolution around the sun, their influence lasts longer. Okay, because their influence lasts longer, their energy is going to be more drawn out. So when we're studying the weather, okay, and the planets, when you have the planets that move closer, they're in orbit around, closer in their orbit to the sun. So, for example, Mercury, we'll use Mercury as an example. It's the first planet in our solar system, and it's the closest one to the sun. And because of its very tight orbit or close distance to the sun, its speed is very, very quick. And so its influence won't last as long as, for example, Pluto. We'll use the two extremes. The furthest one out in our solar system, Pluto, takes a long time to maneuver around the sun. All right, so its influence is going to last a lot longer. So if we're studying the weather week, okay, and I see Mercury going through a particular area, the quickest planet, its influence for weather might only last a few days. It might pop up here and there. But Pluto's influence, because of its slower speed, is going to, in essence, occupy the majority of the week's energy, and thus the majority of the week's weather. Okay, so hopefully that made some sense, but that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Okay, the major weather planets. And again, touching on the minor ones as well. Now, on another side note, the moon has just entered into apogee. And apogee is when the moon is at its furthest point from the Earth in its orbit around the Earth. Why is that significant? Well, when the moon is at its furthest point from the Earth or at its closest point to the Earth, because the moon's orbit is not a perfect circle, right? It's more like an oval. And so what happens is that puts more stress on our planet. All right. And so when more stresses occur, this is through a variety of different energies, through gravitation and electromagnetism, so many, many things. Anyways, what happens is these stresses tug on the Earth's atmosphere, water, so our oceans, and our mantle, the Earth's crust. All right, so we can see greater, more powerful storm systems, a lot more unstable weather throughout the world. We can also see greater tendencies for earthquakes, and even volcanic activity can happen. All right, so we could see some major earthquakes coming up this week. Hopefully not, but by the averages and by the theory, that can happen. So we're going to have to make sure we keep a close eye on things. And again, storm systems everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but they will be greater than normal, and their strength and severity will be greater than normal. So these are things we just have to watch out for this upcoming lunar week. All right, without further ado, let's get started and let's see what those planets are going to be doing to our weather. Okay, Western Canada, let's begin. So we're going to start with negative weather planet Pluto right here, and that's going to be the major weather driver for you guys. And you can see how it's moving, this black line going right through BC, Alberta, through Saskatchewan. And we'll get to Saskatchewan in a bit, but we're going to be talking about Alberta and BC for right now. And Pluto is going to be putting you guys in a negative weather pattern for this lunar week. Okay. What is Pluto weather? Pluto brings temperatures down, so cooler to colder temperatures, cloudier days. West Coast, you'll have more showers and rain. Inland BC, you're going to have more flurries and snow. Alberta, you guys are going to have more flurries and snow as well. So scattered flurries or snow, cloudier days. You might have some odd sunny days or partly sunny days or partly cloudy days. But overall, the weather is going to be sort of a not a fantastic week, maybe a bit gloomy that way. So just be prepared for that. Now, on a side note, one thing that I'm concerned about, which we're going to talk, especially as we get down to the States, which we'll see later on. This is the planet Uranus, okay? And Uranus, when it's close to Pluto, it is concerning for earthquakes and earth movements. I don't think it's going to happen so much in BC. There might be an increase in smaller tremors on the West Coast, but further south into California, which we're going to take a look at later, that's where I'm kind of concerned. And I'll explain later in the video as to why. Okay, so we'll just be aware of that. Okay, so let's get to Saskatchewan and Manitoba. All right, what's the major weather planet here? And again, we're talking about Pluto, which is right there, okay? And so Pluto is going to unfortunately put you guys, Saskatchewan and Manitoba, in a negative weather pattern as well. So again, Pluto weather, you're dealing with colder temperatures to cooler temperatures, cloudier skies, snow, and flurries. So you're going to have that trend. Okay, so sort of a wintry week of weather, unfortunately. All right, so there we go. So let's get to Ontario. Out of all these massive lines of planets, again, what we want is the major driver, not all the little ones that come in between. So what is the major driver here? And now we're talking about, it's a negative weather planet, Neptune. And Neptune, unfortunately, is also going to bring a challenging weather pattern to Ontario overall. Okay, Neptune weather is, in terms of temperatures, cooler. It's not severely cold, but it's cooler than average. Clouds, it loves to bring cloudier weather, mists, fog, showers, rain, if the temperature is just warm enough, especially on the coast, to flurries and snow inland, higher elevations, or if the temperature is cold enough. Now, the only concerning thing with Neptune is it can bring whiteout conditions or weather patterns that can obscure the vision. So anything from haze to smog to fog, or worst case scenario, things like blizzards. So we have to watch out with Neptune in that respect. It can bring also some weather oddities to the region, things that are going to be unusual for the particular region or season. So we have to keep our eye out with Neptune that way, but otherwise it's going to be that kind of a week. So Ontario, just be aware you're under Neptune's influence that way. Okay, moving on to Quebec. All right, Quebec. Now you are under the roller coaster planet Uranus right up here. So we give it the blue. The blue is like, it's not great, but it's not bad. So it's so-so. And why is that? Oh, that's interesting. I just spit and a little bubble came out of my mouth. Has that ever happened to you? That's interesting. Okay. Anyways, no, I haven't been eating soap. So, but sometimes that happens, curiously enough. All right. So let's get to Uranus. Well, actually, interesting. We're talking about Uranus and bubbles coming out of your mouth because Uranus likes to bring weird things to our life and existence and break the rules and brings shock and awe and weird, odd things. So anyway, curious. I guess it's just one of those uh timely things. All right. So Uranus, you are going to be covering most of Quebec. And okay, what is Uranus weather? Temperatures cooler to colder. Uranus normally is a dry planet overall, but Uranus loves to bring scattered moisture, scattered snow, scattered flurries. And it likes to bring unpredictable weather. So all of a sudden, if the forecast is saying, oh, it's going to be nice, not bad, all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, a raging blizzard. And then it goes away, and then it's nice again. So you got all of a sudden sunny skies, and you're like, oh, it's going to be nice, it's going to be beautiful. And then all of a sudden, boom, it starts to snow or flurry. And you're like, well, and then it turns nice again. So it can be really highly fluctuating in terms of fluctuating temperatures, fluctuating moisture, fluctuating clouds and sun. So it's going to be that kind of a week, Quebec. Okay. All right. And Maritimes sort of depends on where you're going to be in the Maritimes. This is why it's going to be a bit challenging this way. Okay. So if you're more west, you've got mixed weather Uranus. If you're more east, you've got negative weather Pluto. Okay. So how are we going to draw this? Well, let's start with the western regions and Uranus. All right. So it's going to cover sort of, this zone roughly. Okay. So if you're in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, you're going to have cooler to colder temperatures, some sunny days, but don't be fooled because then there's some snow and some flurries or rain or showers on the coast, depending on the temperature, and then it turns sunny again, roller coaster. Very, very unstable weather pattern. And with Uranus, you always have to be careful with sudden storms. So be on the lookout for that. And then you've got Pluto further east. All right. And so Pluto is definitely going to cover more Newfoundland. And so Pluto colder temperatures, cloudier skies, snow and flurries are the norm, and it can bring some storms. So you have to be on the lookout that way, Newfoundland. Okay, and that's it. That is Canada. Let's get on to the United States. Okay, USA. Let's see what's going on with your weather. Wow. Okay, this is where it's going to get interesting. We have to talk about a couple things here. Western USA, we're going to start with the dominant weather planet here, and that's going to be Pluto right here, okay? Pluto is going to cover this gigantic swath of weather, which is going to, or area, I should say, and weather. Pretty much like all that. And that's a negative weather pattern, obviously. So for weather, Pluto is cooler temperatures to colder temperatures. So in the north, you're going to see snow and flurries and cloudier days. In the south, it'll be more cloudier days, slightly cooler temperatures, or more cooler than normal temperatures for the season, with some scattered rain or showers that will come your way. And sometimes with Pluto, it can be heavy in certain locations, so just be aware of that. So Pluto is just going to bring that kind of a gloomier weather week. So my concern is that with Pluto in higher elevations can definitely bring stronger snow events, and so be aware of that. So winter is going to be really still in full effect, I think. My concern, my other concern, is right down here, and this is the planet sorry, this is the planet Uranus, okay, right down here. Let me just redo that just quickly. Let's try that here. So this is the planet Uranus, and when Uranus, and if you can see here, there's this combination that's happening right here. Okay, there's this Uranus and Pluto combination that's happening right here. When these two get together, there is a significant increase in probability and danger of earthquakes, big earthquakes that can happen. So I hope nothing's going to happen. Now, this is showing it's happening more towards in the Pacific, the western, off the west coast of North America and the Pacific. But we can't rule out that that these two aren't going to affect you know, Southern California or even Mexico, like further down south. So these are all possible, okay? So we have to just be careful with that. Let's see what happens. Hopefully nothing happens, but generally speaking, theoretically speaking, that's what they can bring. All right, so just be on the lookout for that. All right, and we'll monitor. And the reason for that, not only do you have these planets, Uranus and Pluto, working together, but you also have the moon in apogee, so creating a stress to the tectonic plates. So this is where we have to be careful. And this is going to go further even south. Uranus, its influence is going to affect Mexico, West Coast Mexico, all the way down to South America. So South America is also maybe, although, well, we'll see. We'll see, but hopefully not. All right. So, and there's many other places in the world where this, again, some sort of a major Earth movement can happen. We just don't have the time to, well, we're not, it's not that we don't have the time, but there are many places where Uranus is acting upon the Earth. So it's going to, well, it is time, or just it'll take time to look at all the different places. And there's a lot. All I guess I'm saying is on Earth during this time, apogee period, and Uranus and Pluto get together, the probability for large quakes can happen. Again, hopefully not. All right, let's go on to this area of the states. Okay. Now, as we get more towards this, okay, let's do this here. Negative weather planet Saturn right here, right? Now that's going to be the dominant one, and it's going to be affecting the weather pretty much throughout this entire region, okay? I'd say, well, I'd say up to about here. Yeah. So basically from all the way from the top of the Dakotas all the way down to Texas, Saturn storms. Saturn brings the temperature lower, brings lots of clouds, gloomier weather, low pressure storm systems. So this is what we could have, and with right up here, sorry, Mercury. Okay, this guy right up here. Let me put that a bit of a different color just so it doesn't get mixed up. So Mercury, that adds wind. So I'm kind of concerned about tornadoes in all of this region right up here. Okay, when Mercury gets together with Saturn, it can bring wind storms. So then that's when you have to say maybe tornadoes. We'll see. All right, but otherwise it can bring thunderstorms in the south with rain and showers and cloudier skies. In the north, snow or snowstorms and colder temperatures. All right, let's go to this zone here. Another negative weather planet. We've got a lot of negatives going on, like seriously. All right. Neptune. Negative weather Neptune, and it's going to create, so this weather zone all the way, probably up to about, yeah, about there. So Neptune, cooler temperatures, not severely cold, but cooler. So slightly below seasonable, cloudier skies, rain and showers in the south, snow and flurries in the north. To Neptune likes to bring fog and mists and smog and any sort of scenario where there can be again reduced visibility. So in the northern areas, we have to be careful for things like again in the northern areas, be careful with things like possible blizzards or sudden squalls or things of that nature. In the south and the southern regions, there could be, with Neptune also likes to create systems that create vortexes. So we've got like this big possible tornado potential all the way from Saturn to Neptune, like this entire region. Hopefully, again, nothing happens, but this is the apogee period with a lot of storm systems happening. So we just have to put that alert out there. Okay. Now, Neptune can also bring periods of heavy moisture and even possible flooding in certain areas. So we have to be on alert with Neptune. That kind of a week. You know, this is where we want to be wrong in terms of the weather, right? I'd be happy if I was wrong in this scenario. I'd be like, okay, great. I hope you guys have had, get wonderful weather, but we have to just call it like it is and, you know, talk about the math. All right. So to the northeastern regions, mixed weather Uranus is going to be the major player, right up there. And he's going to be basically the strongest, right? Hang on, let me just get that more centered there. Yeah, so he's going to cover that region. The colder temperatures, fluctuating temperatures, fluctuating moisture, fluctuating um, atmospheric conditions, sun and clouds and scattered showers and rain on the coast, scattered flurries and snow inland, higher elevations. And this is the season where temperature really matters because if things are trying to warm up, and if it's just slightly, things are slightly below, it's going to snow. If things are slightly above, it's going to rain. So this is where it gets tough. It's really tough to forecast how that moisture is coming down. It'll be scattered here and there, and Uranus again likes to throw curveballs. So if the forecast calls for something, all of a sudden, don't be surprised. It completely, you're like, where did this come from? It's weather systems can come out of the blue with Uranus. So with Uranus, you always have to be, on the ball. You have to be prepared for anything with Uranus. You're going to have some nice, sunny, clear, crisp days that'll fool you into thinking, oh, this is going to be an awesome week. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get hit with a storm system. And then it turns nice and sunny again. It's just roller coaster with Uranus. Okay, that's it. So let's that's it for the US. Let's go to Mexico. Okay, Mexico. Let's see what's going on. All right. Well, let's start with uh Western Mexico. And you're going to start off with a very positive weather planet here. And again, Saturn near the equatorial regions or the equator. The closer you get, the hotter and sunnier and drier it gets. Okay, so we've got a very positive weather planet, Saturn in this case, affecting a good chunk of Mexico. Okay, so this is going to pretty much stretch all the way up to about there, right? And so Saturn is going to, temperatures hot, sky sunny, moisture dry. So hot, sunny, dry. That's basically the forecast. Okay, with Saturn, Mercury might make it a little bit windy, which is right here. That's Mercury, so it might make it a bit windy, but other than that, yeah, really beautiful, warm, hot temperatures. And then in this central region, you also have now dominant Mars actually is going to be dominant all the way from about, well, right about, well, hang on, let me just redraw that. I just gotta mix the lines up so it doesn't get too messy. Something like that. All right, so in those regions, Mars brings hot temperatures. It brings more sunny skies, maybe some pop-up thunderstorms or thunder showers here or there. Not a big deal, just isolated. But because Mars does like to heat up the atmosphere and bring that energy into it. Otherwise, many sunny days, hot temperatures, plenty of sunshine with maybe some scattered thunder showers here or there. Very scattered though. But otherwise, I think generally hot, dry, sunny. And then you have this area here, This is going to be dominated by Neptune. Now it's a negative weather Neptune. So this is where we're going to have more challenging weather. Okay, and that's the Yucatan Peninsula going further down south. Neptune will still keep it in as you get closer to the equator. Still be warm, humid, very humid, so that can bubble up clouds, bring scattered or can bring thunder showers, thunderstorms, or fog and mists, these kinds of things. But it brings, especially in the tropical regions, very humid weather. All right. So otherwise, most of Mexico seems really beautiful again. And again, it's the season for Mexico to be really, really nice. It's not the rainy season yet. So we'll get into more severe weather, unfortunately, when rainy season comes. Hopefully not, but that's typically the pattern every year. It's very predictable in the tropical regions like that. All right. But in the meantime, most of Mexico is going to remain quite sunny and nice. All right. Other than the Yucatan, which again will have those cloudier, humid, hot and humid days with scattered thunder showers. All right. That's it. Okay, there you have it, folks. We're going to be back next week for the uh third quarter moon, the last quarter moon of March, which is going to be on Tuesday, March the 14th. So that's when we'll be back. And yeah, we'll see what happens at that point. All right. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to be a part of this channel. And if you want to receive notifications, please hit the bell icon. And of course, if you liked it, hit the like button. All right. Thank you all again for watching. Take care, and we'll see you soon.